Well, hello everyone. So, in this video, we're going to talk about your biodiversity artwork. And at this point, what you should have done is you should have made your 2-panel paper, added the frames around the outside, cut it if you wanted to. You can make it a little fancier. And then you're ready to draw. So, according to the directions, you're supposed to pick 3 different pollinators and do a little bit of research about where they live and what kind of plants that they pollinate. So, in this one, I have bees, I have butterflies, and I have a bat even. So the butterfly I picked and that I drew was the monarch. Monarchs migrate up into the United States and they spend some time in New Mexico. The other I picked was a long-nosed bat, a Mexican long-nosed bat that, believe it or not, also migrates up into New Mexico. And then finally, bees. There are thousands of types of bees in New Mexico, almost 4,000. And so this could be any bee, but bees pollinate things like flowers, tomatoes, and in this case, I put an apple tree. So, this fulfills all the criteria that you need in order to do panel number 1. Remember, panel number 1 asks the question, what does biodiversity look like with many pollinators? With many pollinators, you have lots of cactus, you have lots of different plants, and you have trees all producing flowers, and in the case of cactus and apple trees, they produce fruit as well. Another thing that we can eat. So, that answers those questions really well. So, what you're going to do then after that is in panel number 2, you have to do what does biodiversity look like without pollinators. So, for example, if you didn't have bees, that apple tree could be the only apple tree. How else is the apple tree going to reproduce if bees aren't bringing pollen to different flowers to create fruit? So this landscape might look extremely different. You might not have this apple tree, and you certainly won't have these other apple trees over here when you try to draw it here. So for example, you could just draw this area without the apple tree. Also, the cactus, they would have a really difficult time reproducing because cactus sometimes are really spread out. If this bat isn't going from cactus to cactus to cactus, then they might not be there. And often, cactus are spread out all throughout the desert, and they require something like this bat to go from each one of those flowers and help continue to make the cactus produce new cacti. Also with the butterflies, they go from these plants, these are called milkweeds, and they jump from all over the place, all to different parts of those plants, gaining as much nectar as they can. There are fields and fields and fields of these types of flowers, though those fields would shrink and you might have nothing there. And so the reality is, without pollinators, it could almost be a barren area because they really help all of our plants to reproduce. And yet again, they help us to have food, fruits, vegetables, all that kind of stuff. So, I want to see your drawings. Like always, do your best to your best ability in your skills of drawing. Doesn't have to look like mine. It can be much more simple. You could just do a tree with some bees around it, or some cacti, or something completely different. I did these three because these are ones you can find in New Mexico, specifically. So, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and finish this now. I want to see you do a really nice job. Like I said, this area, it's going to be the same exact thing, except it's going to be pretty barren. So here's my little mountain here, but the rest of it, without all those pollinators, it's going to be really, really, really tough to have all those fruits, cacti, trees, and vegetables. All right, students, good luck with this. I want to see some really fun drawings.